everybody. So welcome to week 2. So in this video, I'm just going to go through what all is in the module for this week, what our focus should be, and sort of help expand on what you should be doing and what our goals are and everything. So if you want to follow along, you're going to go into modules for me, just like we have been. And just as a note, modules is going to be your number one go-to place for the whole course. It's where you're going to find everything. Yes, if you go into assignments, you can find everything in there as well, but this way in modules you can see it chronologically in what order I want you to have it done. And I'm not always going to post. So for week 3, yes, I might have that video already done, but you're not going to be able to see the video and the instructions for it until I publish it and it's actually week 3. So I think it's easier to see everything from modules within there. And then, of course, announcements. I'll give you an announcement every week when I have everything posted. And then I might have a midweek announcement or two just for some reminders or updates if we need to. So modules and announcements are going to be your number one places to go when you're wanting to find information. Grades, of course, you're going to look there for your grades and your feedback. I can't show you mine because mine looks way different than yours. But when you go into grades, once I have something graded, that's where you're also going to see your feedback. Okay, I know that's really different because a lot of you at your schools have Chromebooks, so therefore you have Google Docs, and your teachers are giving you feedback on Google Docs. I can't do that through Marian Tech because of your FERPA laws. We want to make sure that your work, your grades remain private. So to do that, I have to give you your feedback on Canvas. So once something has been graded, and you should get a notification of that, you'll go into grades, and then you would scroll down to that assignment wherever it is. Next to it, you would see the number grade I gave it. So for an example, like your writing practices from week 1, once I get those graded, or even the introduce yourself one, it would have a score like 2 out of 2 or 5 out of 5 or something like that. So then you see that, and next to that score, you should see one of two things. One thing would be what looks kind of like a text message icon, a chat bubble. If you have that, it means I put a comment on the assignment. Those are usually kind of short, sweet, to the point comments. It's nothing in depth, but of course, something you should still be looking at to gain feedback from it. I will usually do that with your shorter assignments like your writing practices. I'll probably just give you comments because that way you can see it quicker. For feedback, I can actually, once you've uploaded your documents into the assignment, I can provide feedback directly on that essay. So I can put comments, I can highlight things, strike things out, give suggestions over the essay. But it's not going to be live on your link because you're not submitting with the link. So what will happen on that grade, instead of a chat box, you'll see a view feedback option. Okay, so you'll click that view feedback option, and then a little window should pop up on the screen on your grades page, and you would see a PDF version of your assignment, and then it would have my comments on it. Okay, that window that pops up is pretty tiny and hard to read. I remember when I was a student at Bowling Green, we had Canvas there too. It was kind of a pain to read the feedback that way. Once that window pops open, though, you'll notice in the left-hand side of it, it'll have a download button, that little down arrow. So then you could download the PDF with my comments, and then you could see it full screen if you wanted. So you would have a much larger view of that feedback. Okay, so that's where you're going to go to for your feedback is in grades. So announcements, modules, and grades, I think, are your top 3 that you're going to go to throughout the semester. So let's walk through our week 2. So week 2 is August 29th through September 2nd, okay? And the main focus of this week is to start our personal essays. So I had you start kind of getting in the groove of thinking about a more personal topic with our writing exercise and our introduce yourself from week 1. So this week, we're actually going to officially choose those topics and start outlining them, okay? So the first link in here, if you click on it, is going to take you to an MP4. I'm going to pause it so it doesn't play. It's a link on personal essays. So, and Eric Buffington recorded this wonderful video. He says it very succinctly, so we're just going to use what he says in 5 minutes about personal essays. He gives you some examples and how to set them up. The big thing to know is that it's a 5-paragraph essay is what we're asking for. And in a personal essay, since it's about you, you can use I. Okay, this is one of the few essays where a teacher's going to say, I want you to use I in a paper. I think this, I believe it, this is my experience. So you have to use the word I and my if you're talking about your own experience. My warning to that, though, be very careful of repeating I too much. So if every sentence starts out with, I believe, I did this, I want this, I. That gets really boring to read, right? You're getting repetitive. Oh my gosh. So you want to be careful of your sentence structures and not having the word I in every single sentence. But it is about you. So use the word I. Focus on your personal experiences. So the template for the personal essay is the next link. So we're going to go there. And this is where I outline what the essay is, the requirements for it, and give you some examples to think about with it. Of course, mine's going to take forever to load because my internet here is terribly slow. Good gravy. It's going to take forever. So once it gets there, the personal essay outline is a 5-paragraph essay, like I said, and your thesis, your overall focus is to define yourself. Who are you? Okay, what are your goals? What do you want out of life? Another way to take this in previous high school courses I've taught, we do a nature versus nurture debate. Where do we think our personalities come from? Are we born with them, or what has nurtured our personalities into who we are and what we seek to be? So, is it our peers that have helped nurture us into our values and our belief systems? Is it our schools that have done so? What is it that has nurtured us, right? So that is another direction you could take it. You could also sort of define yourself with 3 adjectives. So who are you? I am dedicated. I am athletic. I am. So you choose what you think your main 3 adjectives are. Okay, that could be also another direction that you take this. I don't know if this is ever going to load, but that's another direction you can take it with this personal essay. And I think that would also, choosing 3 adjectives is going to make it really easy for you to outline the essay and figure out what you're doing in the body. So we have our introduction paragraph, and intros always start out with a hook, right? So we have our hook, which is usually a grand statement that is shocking and gets the reader's attention. You can start out with a narrative. Narratives are great ways to do hooks as well. Questions are a really common way to do so, and you can definitely do a question for this first essay because we're just getting in the groove. It's a personal essay. Questions typically I would say to steer away from because they can get kind of boring. They're very overused, but it's still a hook. There are shocking statistics you can use as well. These are all great hooks, but keep in mind you don't want to have to research for this. You shouldn't have any research. Okay, I don't want you to go to Google. I don't want you to go to databases. I want it solely to be your personal experiences that you're using to support this. So a shocking statistic probably isn't going to work with this one because you're not doing any research, right? I'm just going to get out of this and talk elsewhere because that's being annoying. So with this, after you have your intro, so you have that hook within there, then you are going to sort of develop the topic, right? So after you've given your hook, you've got to then explain, okay, what am I going to talk about? What's the focus? So introduce, you're talking about yourself and why these 3 adjectives are important to who you are, or how these 3 adjectives are going to help define your future and help you set goals. Whatever it is that helps introduce the topic and what's important about discussing this aspect of yourself. And then your thesis can pretty easily, if you want it to be, saying my most important 3 adjectives that help me to define who I am and set my goals are 1 and 2 and 3, whatever you're choosing for your 3. It doesn't have to be that simple. You can also go pretty broad with this one because with a personal essay, you have a lot of freedom in what you're going to do, right? Because it's about you. So you might want to end with something, and based on these 3 adjectives, I am determined that I will succeed in all my future endeavors if I continue to use these adjectives, or whatever it is. But the focus, the thesis needs to be that you are defining who you are. It's about defining you, defining Looney if it was me, whatever it is. So you have that introduction. Then you're going to have 3 body paragraphs. Okay. So if you're doing the 3 adjectives, wham bam, that's easy. We have adjective 1, main idea 1, adjective 2, main idea 2, adjective 3, main idea 3, right? So we're setting up each adjective with its own main idea paragraph, why that adjective is important, how it defines you, and how it supports your thesis. So if your thesis is that these adjectives will help you be successful, or that these adjectives are what you've wanted to be, or that you've been nurtured with them, whatever that thesis is, how do these adjectives help define who you are? And making sure you're giving examples. Your examples here are your evidence, right? And next week, I'm going to give you sort of an outline on how to set up body paragraphs for this week, we're just going to focus on outlining the ideas for the paper, not actually drafting the whole paper yet. So we'll talk about individual paragraph setup next week, so don't worry about that. And then you're obviously going to end with a conclusion. Okay, so wrap up, summarize what is the main takeaway after defining who you are within there. So for your outline of this, it can be as basic as having topic sentences and then the evidence for each of your paragraphs. And obviously for your intro, it's going to be your hook and your thesis. But the more detail you give me in an outline, the better. Okay. And I made a note of it down here. The more detail that's in your outline means the more feedback I can give you to help you improve that final draft and submit the best draft that you can, to showcase who you are and sort of earn that highest grade that you want, right? So this, where we are now, is where you're actually going to submit that outline when you're done. So just like everything else in the module, the outline is due this Friday. Okay, Friday at 11:59. And I linked back to that same video that I showed you before. This is the outline that was refusing to download. We'll see if it downloads now. In the previous link. Oh, it's going to open in a Word and the camera doesn't go there, so we can't do that. But this is where you're going to actually submit everything. Stop doing that. Okay. Any questions you have on setting up the outline, make sure you let me know. I'm going to, here in a little bit, also post maybe an example outline, but I want to give you a couple days to do the practices within the week before I wanted to show you a practice outline or an example outline within there. Okay. So going back to modules, I suggest you save doing this outline and figuring out what topic you want until after you've done these two practices. Okay, so if we go into writing practice number 1, it's practicing writing an introductory paragraph. Okay, and all of the topics I'm giving you to practice with that are ones that would help to define you. So you could write an introductory paragraph that has a hook, development of topic, and then a thesis. Okay, or supportive details is the same thing as development of topic. You could do it over your proudest moment, words that prompt hope in your mind, your perspective, your bravest moment, a special place, if you had a do-over on something, or a book or game or music or song that changed your life, something like that. So choosing one of these, you're going to write just an introductory paragraph. So this gives our brains a second to think about who we are, and it's also us practicing that introduction paragraph. So I would definitely do this one before you officially choose your topic. And then we go back into modules. And so our pre-writing exercise, which gets us into our essay as well, is where in one paragraph, you're going to identify those 3 adjectives. Okay, so it's the official brainstorm for your essay. What are 3 adjectives that define you, and why are you choosing them? Why are these the best adjectives? Why are they important to you? What could you do with them, right? So I would do these 2 writing exercises first, and then start choosing your topic for your outline and doing the outline itself, which is why I haven't posted the outline yet, because I want you to do these first. Okay, and I might go ahead and post it. I'm still deciding. So you're going to do these. And again, just like last week, I suggest you write these on a document and then upload it. So that way you can have a file of all of your practices together. So if you need to go back to them and look at them later on, you can, right? But I think the text is an option potentially in there as well. So to review, let me go back in here. So you're first going to watch this video by Eric Buffington where he's going to explain what a personal essay is. Then you're going to hopefully get your template for the essay outline to download for you, even though mine's being silly. And you're going to look over what is the requirements for the essay. So that way it's always in the back of your mind while you're doing these practices. So making sure we look over here before we go into these 2, right? Then you're going to do the writing practice and the pre-writing exercise that's going to get our brains into personal essay mode, getting some feedback from me. And then you're going to start writing the personal essay, the outline for it, not the whole thing, just the outline. Okay. All of this is due Friday. If you want to send me your thesis and ask what do I think about your thesis and give you some feedback, or even just give you feedback on anything earlier before you submit it, you absolutely can. Okay. So just email me and I will give you that feedback so you can see it then. All right. So focus for this week is the personal essay outline. Make sure you're letting me know if you have any questions, any concerns. I will be there to assist as need be, but I want you to have a wonderful day, everybody.